like that, yeah. I like that, yeah.
American bully, that's the dream. From XL booties to extreme. Pocket standing, not left behind. Bully breathing is a grinder, we don't mind. Pick it up shit, Facebook posting. Put in the time, we get up behind. Stand on your 2 feet, no joint cross. They grinder with 10 toes down. Some get big handy when they win at a show. Some act like Joe, plus some hype for dough. Real breeders are humble, you know. Cause they know just cause you won the class don't mean you won the show.
Friday. What is going on, family? We're going to be talking about signs and symptoms that a lot of people don't pay attention to because they're very subtle. Then all of a sudden, you know, months down the line, possibly even a year, maybe even 2, they find out there's something very bad going on with their dog. Infamous. Damn, it's been a while. Happy to be back here. Infamous. By the way, Infamous, I saw a truck driving by here saying Hafa Adai. I actually took a picture of it so that when I speak to you next time, I would show you. So heads up, B Ferreira. Start strong and hit that like button. Number love, man. Appreciate it, man. Alberto Ayala, good evening, QBN family. You got it, man. We got Miss Shatry up in here. Adam Fields. I'm at my daughter's wedding committee dinner, dedicatedly here. Wow, Miss Shatry, number love, appreciate you. Queen's New Blood. This will most definitely be interesting. Oh, it will. It will. Let's see. El Troquero Taquero. Hi from Soledad, California. How's it going, brother? Thanks for joining us. Infamous. Oh, damn, my card expired. So when the new one comes, I'm going to get back on the membership. No worries, man. You all good. Listen, so here we go. We're going to be talking about the most, how do I put this? We're going to go from the least popular one to the most popular. But nonetheless, guys, these things that are happening are happening to a good part of the population. So just because we're going to go from the least popular to the most doesn't mean that the first several ones are to not worry about, because they could very well be happening to you, unfortunately, as we speak. Loving it, fam. Love being with y'all. Thank you, Nadies. Number love. Carmelo and Chica TV. Happy Friday, Bully Fam TGIF. Leocadio Vasquez. What's good from Fresno, California? Home of the Bulldogs. Nadies, I got you, Infamous. There you go, Nadies. That's what I'm talking about. Family over here, man. We got a community rolling. So listen, the first thing I want to talk to you about is something called polyneuropathy. Polyneuropathy. So anything that says P-A-T-H-Y or an A in front of it, apathy or pathy, what it means is disease, illness, sickness, however you want to think about it. So polyneuro means many, neuro means nerves. So polyneuropathy means many nerve disease, right? Or many nerves disease, if you will. So, hey, hold on real quick. I got to give it a Nadies. Nadies, you ain't playing, man. You ain't playing. Number love, I appreciate you. There you go. Number love. You know, we do this every Monday and Friday at 8 PCST. Unfortunately, once you gift it, you can't point at who's going to get it. I wish YouTube would, but they don't. Either way, we're jumping in on polyneuropathy. So polyneuropathy usually, right, happens because of multiple. What it is a condition of several multiple peripheral nerves that are damaged. Okay, and they may be damaged because genetically the dog was born with it, right? Or because the dog came in contact with toxins. Okay, sometimes when we think toxins, we're thinking we're thinking, oh, the dog got into some radiator fluid. Well, yeah, it could have, right? But sometimes there's even things that you find in nature, fam. There's several of them. The sago palm, for example. Sago palm is one of those things that is completely neurotoxic to dogs. It's poisonous, right? Toxic just pretty much means poisonous. And neurotoxic, the neuro part means nerves, so poisonous to nerves. So it'll damage the dog's nervous system. Alexandria, Alabama, Roll Tide. All right, man, number love. So basically, you need to be careful as to what your dog is getting into. Just if you didn't know that, you know now, sago palm. If your dog decides to go chew on that, and puppies normally will, simply because they're just puppies and they're trying to chew on things, they could end up with a serious, they could damage their nervous system. The other thing that can actually cause this is an autoimmune issue. Okay, the dog may have an autoimmune issue that's attacking its nervous system. And over time, there'll be a gradual nerve dysfunction. Okay, so I made some clear notes on little signs, little subtle signs to pick up on. So pay attention, because this stuff is you're not going to find it just looking it up most of the time. It manifests subtly, right? And it progresses slowly. Okay, it could take weeks, months, maybe even a couple of years. Okay, and what it does is it usually affects coordination and sensation without dramatic signs, right? So think of it like, you ever like went to sleep or went to sleep on your arm or on your hand, and it went to sleep and you went to sleep and it went to sleep as well, and you woke up with a tingly feeling on your arm or on your hand, right? So essentially that's what's happening to the dog. Could you imagine being a dog and trying to explain to you, I feel like I got an empire going off, on my leg? It's nearly impossible, right? Like anything else, early detection, right, through veterinary exams is really the only way you could pick up on this. So if your dog is really not giving you any serious sign, you're probably not going to take him to the vet to get the dog, get his nerves tested, right? It just doesn't make sense. The signs that come with this, right, is subtle weakness in the limbs, right? So subtle weakness in the limbs. Let me give you one dog that I knew back in the day. I got a consult from a guy, and he used to post on Facebook, right? And I would see his dog all the time running, moving around, running. And I could tell she never had cowhawks, right? And, as early as being around 6 to 8 months old, she was never bunny hopping or anything like that. Out of nowhere, maybe a year and a half into it, I noticed that she was bunny hopping. And I remember sending him a message, a DM. And I said, hey, bro, hey, how's it going, man? Just wanted to stop by, man, because I've always been seeing your videos. And one of the things I loved about your female was her rear. She never cowhawked. She was never cowhawked. And, when she ran, she had perfect gait running. It was never bunny hop. But recently I've been noticing that she's bunny hopping. He's like, yeah, it's because she's gained a little weight because now she's popped and this and that. And I'm like, man, this guy, I don't think he gets it. Unless the dog maybe injured herself, and injured a hip or something, you don't go from running regularly, right, with the right strides to all of a sudden going to a bunny hop, right? Bunny hopping everywhere. The reason that she's bunny hopping is because one of those two legs doesn't have the strength it had before, right? And so it was a subtle change, which in my opinion, it wasn't subtle. It was pretty evident. But yeah, he thought it had everything to do with weight. The other thing, and this is the one I had a deep dive on, and I remember this was about a year ago that I got a consult from someone. D. Taylor, nothing but love, man. Appreciate you. I'm gonna hit you with that. Let me just finish this thought. I got hit up about a year ago, and this one guy thought it was cute. In fact, I think one of his videos might have gone viral. He had this puppy, and the puppy would be standing. And when I say puppy, guys, let me rewind. You're probably thinking an 8, 10, 12, 14-week-old pup. For me, anything under a year, you're a puppy. This puppy was maybe 8 or 10 months old, and it would paw at the air, and it was kind of cute. Caleb Weddle, nothing but love, man. Let me give D. Taylor, his flowers.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
And a second time,
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
he just went ahead and not just became re-upped his membership. He went ahead and gifted one, man. Nothing but love. We got the Philippines in the house, and my dude Caleb Weddle, man. Nothing but love for you, man, and your crew. So this puppy would paw at the air. Let me ask you guys, how many of you have a puppy or a dog that's less than 1 year old or even older than that, that is out of nowhere pawing at the air? So I'm going to tell you something I found out. All right. So when he showed me that about 2 years before that, he showed me the puppy pawing at the air, I was having a conversation with a veterinarian, and there was a dog that they were taking care of that was pawing at the air. And I was like, why is that a problem? Actually, that looks kind of cool, the dog doing this. And what the veterinarian told me was that when you see a dog, subtly or out of nowhere pawing at the air, it usually means, and the dog will look at his paw too, which was crazy. It usually means that they have a tingling sensation in their paw, right? So the dog wasn't whining, it wasn't yelping, it wasn't making any noise. It was not like that. It was just real subtle. He would look at his paw, do that, and then put the paw back down. That can be a sign that you have some sort of polyneuropathy, okay, going on, and that you got to get your dog to the vet so you can get checked out as far as the nervous system. Somebody here, V. Ferreira, is saying knuckling over. No, knuckling over is orthopedic, okay? Or better yet, let me rewind. It's the accessories around orthopedic. So orthopedic is bone, right? So the soft tissue that we're always talking about, that I'm always bringing up, Nuvet and NuJoint DS, right over, boom, right here. The reason I bring it up is because medium to large breed dogs will have their bones grow a lot faster than their soft tissue. In knuckling over's case, the reason it happens is because the owner, without knowing, is feeding the puppy a high protein diet, too high. When the protein is too high, I have found that the soft tissue becomes weak. And that's the reason you get the knuckling over. Okay, for those of you that don't know what knuckling over is, let me go ahead and bring it up so you could see what knuckling over looks like. And if it is happening to you, what I would suggest is reduce your dog's protein to under 15%, possibly even 13%. And you're gonna fix it like pretty much within a month and a half. I seen it even less than that. So let me go ahead and share this screen so you guys can see what knuckling over is. And that's knuckling over. Okay, it doesn't always look this severe, but this part right here, you see how it knuckles over the foot? That's why it's called knuckling over. And all it is that you have weakened the soft tissue that's right here. Also, one thing you're going to find that I used to see a lot in XLs, about 10 years ago, is that they would have these big cartilage filled, what seemed to be patellar tendons, right? And the bigger it is, you would think the stronger it be, but in reality, no. The bigger it is, the weaker it is. So thanks for bringing it up, V Ferreira. But yep, you got it, man. You got the clarification. Miss Sally Adams, running late, but I'm here. Nothing but love. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. El Troquero saying, what does it mean when my dog's licking the air? Ha 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 ha. I don't know. Nah. It can mean, man, that's a good one. I've never had a dog licking the air. Does anybody else have a dog licking the air? I would think if a dog is licking the air, I don't know if the dog's tongue is tingling. I really doubt it. By the time the dog's tongue is tingling, you have a major neuropathy issue because the tongue is in the head and everything else. So I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one, man, because really I just don't know. I've never had that. Marlon Chung says, good night, everyone from Guyana, South America. All right, man. Number love. Let me jump in here and jump into one other sign and symptom of polyneuropathy, and that would be that out of nowhere you have a dog. For example, I'll have a dog like Blueberry that will run. I mean, as small as he is, he will run up and down with the big dogs like it's nobody's business for a good 30, 40 minutes nonstop if you let him, right? I have to stop him because otherwise he could overheat, especially now in the summertime. But if you have a dog that's able to do that sustainably with no issues, and out of the blue, he can only go maybe 5 minutes, that's a big red flag. That's not a subtle sign, guys. That's a big red flag. It could be a heart issue. I would think immediately it's a heart issue, right? Because you're not able to pump the blood. Or in this case, it could be a polyneuropathy issue, right? Let me see. Turquero says he does that a lot. So I guess, no, we're talking about signs and symptoms, 7 signs and symptoms that you need to be on top of, man. Otherwise, we may be looking at it and not really thinking about it, and it could be a big deal. In Saratha, they could be trying to tell you that they're thirsty or hungry. There you go. That's what it can mean when a dog is licking air. Thanks for bringing that up. Most Hated Native joining us. Not below, man. Thanks for coming on in. Now, the next thing I'm going to bring up is called vestibular disease, right? And what this is the vestibule is inside of the ear, and it has to do with your balance system. I actually, when I was a nurse, I had a patient that had this particular issue. And on top of that, he also had, I can't think of it right now, where the room is spinning on you out of nowhere. And literally this person could not get out of bed. If they did, it was going to be an automatic fall. Well, it happens to dogs as well. But with dogs, it's usually caused by an infection in the ear, right? Which leads to inflammation, which the inflammation could actually trap the infection inside of the ear, prolonging it. And or idiopathic factors in older dogs. And all that means is we don't know why it's causing it, but it happens mostly to older dogs. What's crazy about this is that it usually mimics a stroke. Yeah, it can mimic a stroke. And it will resolve on its own. And you could swear that your dog just had a stroke. he fell on the ground and you know, he was just lost coordination, maybe even had drool coming out his tongue, you know, out his mouth. What's crazy about this, it usually starts subtly, right? And it confuses owners who makes usually what happens is owners think that is dog clumsiness at first. Okay, if you have a dog that never stumbles upon anything, and you know he pretty much knows his space and whatnot, and out of nowhere he's acting a little clumsy, you know, taking maybe one more step to be able to make a turn, crashing into things, you know, it's not clumsiness. It could be eyesight issue. In this particular case, we're talking about vestibular disease. The other thing that you are going to notice when a dog has vestibular disease is the head tilt. Okay, is a dog that's going to want to walk forward with his head tilted to the side. Okay, because it's the only way that he can have relief somewhere up in there, right? And what the head tilt is the main sign, but the other sign, right? And it's funny because the other sign is a slight imbalance. So when he's walking, you may notice a slight imbalance and he'll recuperate and he's good to go from there. The last one might be mild nausea. And so it's funny because I just told El Troquero that I don't know why a dog will lick air, but mild nausea would cause a dog to lick its, you know, its front lip, its top lip, or, you know, just lick altogether. And that's also a possibility. So just wanted to throw that out there. Infamous says, fam, sorry for being off topic, but a while back you mentioned something you use for hot spots or bald spots that helps with the hair regrowth. Can you remind me what it is? I can't find the live. Yes, it is. I'm looking at it with my eyes and my mind, but I can't say the word. It's a white, it's a white ointment. I'm sorry, a white bottle with a horse head on it. It'll come to me before the live is done. And it's yellow in nature and it's got strong sulfur in it. The smell is there. New stock. That's what it's called. New stock. NU-STOCK. All right. Michael Higgins said, what's up, my brother? Loving the show tonight. You got it, man. You know what we do, man. ADXLs, wouldn't this cause vertigo? Yes, Nadies. And that's exactly, I had a patient that had vestibular disease, which caused vertigo, which makes the room go round and round. And I had never seen a case of vertigo until I saw this guy. And literally he would lay down and you could just see his eyes making these little movements as he literally could see the room moving in a circle. He would throw up. I mean, we would see the heart rate monitor, you know, the heart monitor, you know, going through the roof, throwing PVCs, which is premature ventricular contractions. I mean, it was just a disaster. The craziest part about it was it would go away on its own. Like literally after about half hour that the whole thing played out, half hour, 40 minutes, it was gone. And so the same thing happens to dogs. So you can only imagine if you don't know what's going on, you're thinking your dog's having back-to-back strokes. Infamous, another question, what's this XP thing? I've been gone for a while because life is hard in the islands. No worry, man. I'm not sure what you're asking about the XP thing, man. If you could be a little bit more specific, I could definitely answer. Nadine says, I had a pup that developed vertigo due to a brain tumor. Yes. Vertigo is, well, here's the thing. Vertigo can be benign. It can be. Okay. I can't sit here and tell you numbers, but what I can tell you is as a nurse, when I was taking care of patients, everyone that had vertigo, either later on down the line or previously had something going on in the brain or the heart or both. I'm just saying. So, Victor Alfonso Alvarado, what up, brother? Hope all is well. You got any remedies for ear infection? Yeah, we do, Victor. All you got to do is watch our videos, man. I show you guys all the time. Yep, that's how it starts. You got it. And Sarata says, I had a dog years ago who was final to 10 years old when he stopped eating and started spinning in circles, acting like he couldn't see. I took him to the vet and they thought he had rabies, but they forced me to put him down. In autopsy, they found he really had meningitis. Oh, my God. Or something like that, but they put my boy down without testing first. Oh, meningitis is when you have infection in the meninges, which is what keeps the brain pretty much from touching the skull on the inside, right? You got all these different layers. Nades XLs, they're trying to get their bearings because for them everything is upside down. This is correct. New stock. All right, so you guys were helping me out with new stock, man. I'm telling you, I'm getting old. If you go to my videos 2 years ago, it was like that, one right after another. Now I'm like, I'm seeing it, but I can't remember the name. Enrique Rees, what's the difference between NuJoint Plus and giving them collagen? They both are for joints and skin and longevity. So, my friend, look, let me explain something to you. Years ago, I had a litter of puppies, and I was feeding. At the time, I was feeding Victor, right? I'm talking about 7 years ago, and 6 or 7 years ago. And it turns out that the entire litter, well, before I was feeding them Victor, I was actually feeding them raw. They were doing great. Once I transitioned them to Victor because they were getting ready to leave, out of nowhere, their joints started getting all wobbly and looking out of place. You can see the video. It's called Fixing Feet. And so to make a long story short, I went ahead and bought vitamin C. I changed the diet, basically back to a raw diet. You know, I cooked a couple things like pumpkin, or at the time it was butternut squash and that sort of thing. And I knew that giving vitamin C and giving glucosamine and chondroitin was going to be good. And I did. And within 96 hours, I corrected the entire issue and the entire, litter. That wasn't the issue. The issue is that and you're asking about it, that's why I'm referring to it. NuJoint, right, is formulated, right? Look, if you notice, it's got glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, vitamin C, right? And then flavored with real chicken liver. Then Nuvet, which is the reason I tell people to get them both, has AEC. But not only that, look at the minerals: phosphorus, potassium, zinc, calcium, selenium. So if it was just that simple, you just give your dog collagen and that's it, here's where you start falling short. You need to be giving vitamin C so you can absorb the majority of the amount of collagen. But you can't just give collagen. You need minerals that go along with it. This has been already formulated for that in the right amounts. If you give too much glucosamine, you could actually ruin your dog's liver. I don't know if you know that. That's the reason why NuJoint, right, is weight-based, right? Because you could literally, we're going to fix the puppy. Let's just give them a pile of collagen. It's going to be fixed. And yeah, you might most definitely fix the problem, but you probably caused a bigger problem in the process of getting there. That's what I'm trying to get at. So that's my response to your question. By the way, guys, you already know our ordering code, 513237. You get 13% off with auto ship and a free consult with me, but you must order with auto ship. If you want to be slick and be like, I'm going to order it, not get auto ship, and I'm still going to get the consult, it doesn't work that way. I'm just keeping it real with you. I have let a couple of people pass, but I've been pretty pretty upfront that you got to have the auto ship feature on there. Okay. Either way, just so you know, Nuvet, which is this green bottle right here, is 90-day supply, brings 90 wafers. And then I always recommend you get 2 of these bottles so it can last you 90 days, right? Comes out, if you buy 1 of these and 2 of these, you do the math for 90 days, it's going to come out to roughly $1.67 a day. Trust you, me, at least for me and in my yard, it's the best $1.67 I could ever be spending. Watching from my home state, Florida. You got it, Andre. Nadies, it's worse than pups. They literally start spinning like they're breakdancing. I never want to see that again. Man. Wow. So they're talking about vertigo with puppies. That dog was a black German Shepherd. Oh, my goodness. Christian Irajeta. Yo, Q, do you have any videos on deworming pregnant dogs? Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, man, my pregnant females, I get overzealous in giving them chemical-based dewormers because they got puppies in vitro. And it has been proven that if you're clearing that, a lot of these chemicals can actually cause soft tissue issues in the puppies, who our breed already comes with soft tissue issues, especially when you're dealing with the XL class. So as far as for me, I could tell you diatomaceous earth is what I would probably be using for deworming. Maybe fenbendazole, but preferably just garlic, diatomaceous earth, and ground up pumpkin seeds. And that's pretty much it, man. Billy Wanton says MTG. What about it, man? That's you're trying to respond to what she was asking about. No, I was talking about new stock. But MTG is another option that you can use. I've done a video on it. It works pretty well, and it is sulfur based. So thanks for bringing it up. Queens New Bless says off topic, but did you ever do a full in-depth video on Merle? I found myself with a male that's Merle on a co-owned deal with a breeder after a terrible incident, and I want to refresh on it a bit. Yeah, absolutely. If you go to the QBN Kennel homepage, let me take you guys there so you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. All right. So let me go to the homepage here. All right, my bad. Sorry, guys. Yeah, here you go. So if you go to the QBN Kennel homepage on YouTube, and let me bring it up so you guys can see it. All you got to do, guys, I searched QBN Kennel and found it. And all you got to do is come down right here to the magnifying glass, type in Merle, and hit enter. Look. Oh, my goodness. Look at them videos. Merle, what you need to know, unwrapping the world of the Merle American Bully. Merle American Bully, how to breed Merles. Merle American Bully puppy meets dad. Merle 101, Merle dog coat, how to breed Merles. The Merle pattern. To Merle or not to Merle. The difference between Merle and non-Merle. Merle 101. Do Merle puppies behave different? Merle American Bully. Merle American Bully XL. Understanding puppy coat colors. Merle Takeover. Merle American Bully. Merle American Bully XL. Merle American Bully. Blah. I mean, I could just look, man. I mean, come on, guys. I've shown you guys plenty of times. Just come on over here. Type in whatever you're looking for, and you're definitely going to have all the material that we put out on that particular subject. Michael Higginson says, let's talk about the nose and how it can be an indicator, and also the saliva and how it can be an indicator of what's going on with the dog. Well, Michael Higginson, tell me how the nose could be an indicator, because recently I could tell you, based on a pretty big study that was done in the veterinary world, we used to think that when the nose was dry, it means that something is going on with the dog. Now, that can still be possible, but it isn't based on the study as factual as we once thought. There are some dogs whose nose can become dry during a particular time of the year, and the other parts of the year it could become wet. Like say fall comes around, which is the one that's got the least amount of humidity, and the dog's nose may be a little bit drier than say the rest of the year, and that's fine. There's still like 60% of the time, however, that when the dog's nose becomes dry and is usually wet, it may be indicating something. So that definitely. The other thing, when he refers to saliva, I'm going to refer to something even more profound. If you have a dog that never has bad breath and out of the blue, they pop up with bad breath, you need to immediately take a look at what it is that you're feeding this dog. If you haven't changed anything as far as what you've been feeding him or her for years, or you know, since he or she was born, and here you are a year or two or even three later, and all of a sudden he's got bad breath, it could be a sign of something much deeper. Now, it could be so many different things, but it's still a subtle sign that a lot of times we don't pick up on because we're thinking, okay, sooner or later the dog was going to have bad breath. Fact of the matter is, the bad breath could be coming from infections in the mouth. It could be coming from something from the gut or the stomach. Okay. This is why that is a subtle sign that you guys need to be paying attention to. Much too often, you know, you'll smell a little bit of bad breath and you're like, well, you know, he was eventually going to have bad breath. Here you are 2 months ago, you decided to buy the cheaper brand of food because wherever you were buying it, they now had it on special. Well, sometimes it could take 2 or 3 months for that artificial coloring, that corn, wheat, soy, for that, all the meals, which are lower grade proteins and everything else in there. It takes a while to kind of build up in the system before it starts showing signs that something is wrong. So just keep in mind, if your dog never had bad breath and all of a sudden it pops up, that's something, you know, it's not a subtle sign. Even though you may think it is, it's something you need to look into. To avoid anything that's bad, if I ever did use him myself, wanting to at least fully educate myself on it, okay? I believe he has a couple of videos on Merle Queens. Yes, I think more than just a couple. Found it. It's out there putting all of them in my playlist, American Bullies. You got it, man. Go to town. Go to town. Infamous Queens, they touch up a bit on his videos with muscle tones. That segment got me laughing, though. Yeah. We got people in this community that have been breeding for 20 years that don't understand that Merle is a pattern and it's not a color. And they want to use as an excuse that they read books from a foreign country, which, I mean, what foreign country is telling you that Merle is a color? If that's the case, then maybe you need to start changing the books straight up. Queen's New Blood says, yep, I'm putting anything for the Merle on my playlist to study up on. You got it. Brayman says, you ever had experience with CHV1? There's a few dogs down my way that have gotten it recently. CHV1. Let me look it up, man. Maybe I have. I just, for some reason, CHV1 in dogs. Let me see exactly what it is. Canine. Oh, the herpes virus. Okay. I have not dealt with it, man. But let me bring up the pictures so that people, now that you brought it up, so that people can definitely see what herpes virus in dogs looks like. Good bringing it up, man. Good bringing it up. Let me show everybody. So yeah, you probably thought, oh my God, dogs have herpes too. Yeah, brucellosis and other things, right? I'm trying to see. Okay, so look at this. Ocular canine herpes virus. How many times have I not seen a dog who has the red, you know, it's got that red tinge on the cornea of the eye. Notice how here he doesn't have it, then here it goes to here, then it clears up again, then it comes back and comes back again. So it's just one of them things. Definitely just, man, look at that. Canine herpesvirus could actually cause the death of, wow, powerful stuff, man. The fading puppy syndrome and the herpesvirus. So a lot of us that have had puppies that, fade or have the fading puppy syndrome, and we don't understand why the puppy died. A lot of times it could be that. Look at this, canine herpesvirus. I'm wondering if these are the tonsils or the kidneys. I'm not sure. Oh my goodness, look at these eyes. It can literally go from, no, this can't be the same dog. Wow. Yeah, man. Yeah. Here's what's crazy. I've dealt with vets that are reproductive vets that require the brucellosis, for the stud to show brucellosis as far as having either being clear for it. I'm not sure if there's a vaccine for it off the top of my head right now. And a lot of times us as breeders, we see it as a hurdle, but then you see pictures like what I just showed you, and then you understand why. Hello, Bully fam. Hope all is well. Miss Faded Stravia, I was wondering where you were. Coming in late, have to do a rewatch over. No worries. Sean Wheeler, in the bully world, have you ever heard of exercise-induced collapse? It's real big on Labrador Retriever world. It's a terrible disease. I have never heard of that in the American bully world. But again, I would never, rule it out as it having happened and us just not being familiar with it. And that's only because breeders will never come through and tell you what really happened. All you see is wings on a dog that was 3 years old, but they will never tell you why the dog died. They just want you to cry and pat them on the back. As they're going through this, maybe not so much because I'm not saying they're not emotional over the dog, but they're probably more emotional about the fact that they're not going to be able to make the money they were making before. And they kind of want to keep you in the loop. I'm just saying, exercise-induced collapse in dogs. All right. So let me bring it up and let's jump in on this. All of us together. We're all learning stuff, man. Exercise-induced collapse. It says is a condition primarily seen in Labrador Retrievers, like he stated, where strenuous exercise or excitement leads to muscle weakness and collapse, typically affecting the rear legs. The condition is caused by genetic mutation affecting the nerve transmission and can be managed by avoiding triggering activities. So there you have it. It's a genetic condition that affects Labrador Retrievers. Let me see what else. Oh, this one here, I could tell you, in my time breeding, I actually produced 2 puppies with this. I didn't know they had it. At the time, I think when they were produced, it must have been over 5 years ago. I am hoping that Embark has a test for it because this can really, this can really, I mean, it's horrible. Degenerative myelopathy, muscle opathy, meaning disease. So degenerative muscle disease. It's a progressive. It's actually a progressive spinal cord disease. Okay, and it is primarily genetic and breeds like German Shepherds. And what ends up happening is the nerve fibers begin to degenerate. And as this happens, the hind limbs eventually become paralyzed, right? Over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It usually begins subtly, right? With minor coordination issues. You see the puppy not running like everybody else, and you're like, It's just because he's a little smaller or whatever. And what ends up happening is it then progresses to subtle hind limb dragging. If you see your dog dragging any limb, I don't care if it's the front or the back, there's no such thing in my mind as subtle hind leg dragging. Any type of dragging is not subtle in my eyes. And over time is going to lead to hind leg paralysis. It's really sad. Let me see. There is no cure for it. And I'm going to say something that may be somewhat controversial. I don't really care. It's the way I feel about it. And I've learned through breeding that sometimes you have to make some very difficult decisions as a breeder. A lot of times we don't want to make difficult decisions, and we want to do everything we can, but in reality, sometimes you must allow nature to take its course. So I had a litter, I want to say, of 10 puppies, and I had 2 puppies that were getting beaten out by all the other pups, and mom at a certain point started ignoring those 2 puppies. So being a breeder, and being a nurse and everything, I jumped on and I was feeding these pups and feeding them and being on top of them. And when at day 28, I take my puppies off of mom and put them on MUSH, right? So I took the other 8 puppies off of mom and put them on MUSH so these 2 could catch up in my mind. So they could catch up and suckle. And then, within a week, we put them with the other dogs to be on MUSH. They weren't that far behind, but you could tell that they needed that. Lo and behold, they definitely fattened up and all that, because now they didn't have to compete, right? Like they used to with the other pups. See, nature has this perfect system where everybody has to compete. Only the strong will survive, right? So I learned my lesson after this. I saved these 2 puppies, and unbeknown to me, I sold both of the pups, right? One of them was to good friends of mine. I want to say maybe 3 months, and it couldn't be past 4 months that had passed. I want to say 3 months. I get a call out of the blue, and my friends tell me, "Hey man, I'm sorry to tell you this, bro, but I haven't been wanting to tell you this, but this pup, it's like every day he's having more and more hind leg issues." I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro?" He's like, "Yeah, bro, like that's one of the reasons I don't post him up, is because all of a sudden his hind legs, he's just having issues. Right now, my brother has him at the vet. He'll call you. Oh, look, call just came in. Hang up. I'm going to do a 3-way. He calls me back. We're all there. And he's got the dog at the vet. And the vet says, yeah, this is, degenerative myelopathy. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, this, and the vet was trying to explain to me, he said, genetic, I know what it is. We got to put the pup down. It's what, because what they did is they hung up, they got away from the vet, and it was just us 3 talking. And he's like, Raul, what I got to do? I said, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no fixing that, bro. We got to put the pup down. He was, one of them was completely heartbroken. The other one knew, but the one that had him was just completely heartbroken. He had been taking care of this dog, and I felt horrible that this had happened. Needless to say, I told him, put the dog down, tell me how much it is. I got that covered. I had a puppy here, which was a first pick male that I had kept from one of the litters we produced. Told him, do you want that pup? Yeah, he's yours. No cost, no nothing, completely apologetic. Literally within a day later, I get another call from the other puppy. Because remember, there was 2 puppies that I had to do that for. It was the same story, same thing. I have another litter. I had first pick pup. He's yours. You want him? Let me know how much it is. We'll put the puppy down. So the lesson I learned is this. Sometimes, and I will tell you, there's going to be breeders out there that are going to say, oh, 95% of puppies that I've had that have had fading puppy syndrome, I've been able to save. I can tell you, I'm a nurse and I've been breeding for 10 years now. Only about 20% of the puppies that have been going downhill have I been able to save. That's just me. If they report a different number, I don't know what to say. With that being said, going forward, after that happened to me, I said to myself, from here on out, if there's a puppy that's born that's smaller than the rest of them, and I don't see the fight, that will to go get it, you got to literally come bring it to him or her, I'm putting them down. I'm literally going to just give them a chance for a day or 2, but if they start going downhill, I'm going to take them to the vet and be put down. And that could be viewed as controversial because, oh my God, they didn't ask to be brought to this world and all this. But the reality of it is, if they're not thriving, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. Could it be herpes virus? Could it be some sort of myelopathy, in this case, degenerative myelopathy? You don't know. And what's worse is vets at, a week-old puppy, they're not going to be able to tell you what's going on, man. Maybe in an autopsy, but while the puppy's alive, that's just not going to happen, man. So I made it a point to myself that if I ever am in a situation where, so after that, I've had litters, of course. And I had a litter where I had a puppy that when he was born, he looked like he was a preemie. And I was like, oh man, here we go. Right. But unlike those other 2 puppies, this guy, he made it on his own. I didn't have to do anything for him. He wanted to live. He fought for his life. And that's what you want to see, guys. Saludos, Jerry-O, Bully Sink. Nothing but love, man. You got it, bro. So, yeah, man, degenerative myelopathy. The other one, right, that actually happens more frequent than breeders will ever tell you is epilepsy. Think about it. A breeder has an amazing looking dog. Could be a stud that he's charging $5,000 a stud. And out the blue, or even before that, the dog has been showing signs of epilepsy. You think that breeder is going to stop the world and let you know the dog has epilepsy? Yeah, you better think again. And unfortunately, unless there is some sort of genetic testing for it that I'm not aware of, you can't just do like a blood test or something like that and be able to tell that the dog suffers from that. Again, epilepsy happens because of abnormal brain activity. It's often idiopathic or genetic, meaning idiopathic means we don't know where it's coming from. Genetic, obviously, if mom had it or dad had it or grandpa or grandma, then triggering episodes that vary in intensity and start subtly and as brief absences. Subtle signs that are overlooked are spacing out. Let me tell you guys something, because I got hit up by a guy years ago, and he was like, this guy, he was on top of the ball. He said, there's something going on because all the puppies are playing, and this one puppy would stand and like space out, like just stand and just look at somewhere. And if he was to be staring at you, you could tell he wasn't looking right at you. He was just off someplace else. That's not normal behavior, especially not for a puppy. You know, I'm talking about like a 3-month-old puppy, right? So that's usually one of the subtle signs of it. The other subtle sign of it, believe it or not, is a twitching whisker. You know, you ever see a dog with a twitchy little whisker that he's not even trying to control? It's just happening on its own. That could be another subtle sign. It could also like a temporary disorientation, right? So this one could be a little bit more difficult, right? But it is subtle and it can happen. What I mean is, say, for example, you have a dog in your home, and every time he or she is to go outside and pee and poop, you open the door and you say, let's go potty. And he or she runs right out every single time. And this one time you tell him to go potty and he's zoned out, or he's disoriented. He doesn't know what you're saying. You could tell something's up, right? Because it's not that he doesn't want to go outside because it's raining. It's not that. It's not even raining outside. But instead of going outside, he either, you know, bumps his head on a chair, acts like he wants to go into your room, doesn't understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's sign for concern. A lot of times it can happen for only 5 or 6 or 7 seconds. But if it never happens and it happens, this is why routine is so important, right? I always tell people, I have a routine for my inside dogs. I have a routine for my outside dogs. I have a routine when I bring them together. I am not a dog trainer, but the reason I do routines is because I'm able to pick up like that if something is going on with any one of my dogs, because we follow a set routine. So the minute you step outside of that routine, it immediately brings up a red flag in my mind for me to see what's going on with you. Why are you stepping outside of the box of the routine that we already have set? You see where I'm coming from? So, and that could be done whether you have one pup or you have many dogs. Okay. Once you have a set routine, they already know what's up. Let me give you an example. On my routine outside, what I do is I come, I open up all the kennels, let the dogs out, right? Go inside and clean every single kennel. I kick over every single bucket. While I am doing this, okay, I have the dogs are out there playing, running around and playing. While I'm doing this, I'm looking at all of my dogs. Okay. Why am I looking at my dogs? I'm looking at my dogs because I want to see any subtle change in their behavior. It's going to let me know if they're coming in heat, which I've always said, when a female comes in heat, you will see subtle behavior within the entire pack. They either don't want to play with her, or everybody's going to make a line because they want to sniff her butt, lick it, do whatever. Okay. These are subtle changes you need to be on top of, especially if you have a male outside, because if you're not watching, you might end up having that male mount your female, and that might not be the breeding you were trying to do, right? So there's a lot of reasons as to why you want to set routine. I can tell you recently, I let all the dogs out, and this one dog was laying on her belly on all the way at the end. Right? My girl Twix. Twix is a pup. What is a pup? Why is a pup not running around causing chaos when I finally let you out? So I went over there to where she was at. It turned out, and so she was lifting up one of her front paws and then the same back paw on the same side, right? It turns out that in my yard, near that area, we have a particular grass. Let me bring it up here so you can see it firsthand. You'll see what I'm talking about. And they call it here in Texas, Texas bullwhip. And if you've never been in Texas, and you've never felt this plant, you might want to say a prayer and thank your lucky stars that you haven't. Because if you ever do, you will know. You will know what pain is. Let me bring it up and show it to you, because one time I decided I was going to be a hero, and I went out there cutting grass with shorts on and real low socks. And this right here that you're looking at lit me up. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little more. That's as far as it lets me. But you see how it's got these little prickly little things. Let me see if there's another picture that maybe gives us a better close-up of it. Here you go. This is a good one. There you go. You see them prickly little things? Honestly, whoever did this picture, they probably had to increase the brightness for you to see it, because sometimes it's really hard to see. Either way, that right there is the plant's defense system, and it has a neurotoxic, it's got a neurotoxic effect. If you touch that, it will light you up. And don't even think about scratching it. You'll spread it out. You spread it around. So anyways, I seen her lifting up her little paw, and I looked over and I saw the Texas bullwhip, and I already knew what happened. And so I grabbed her, told her everything was going to be all right, gave her some lovings. I put her inside of the bully oasis, inside of the swimming pool. She was okay there. She puts her two little paws up, and she keeps her heads up there. And I went ahead and washed and finished everything. By the time I finished everything, I got her out of there, put her down. She wasn't limping or raising her paws or anything. Okay, but had I not been observing her, right, I would have never known that this would have happened to her. This is why routine is so important. Sulema says, I love this topic. You got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate those. Damn. We have those here in Ohio. Yeah. Over here, we call them Texas bullwhip. But, man, let me tell you, that the neurotoxin that thing hits you with, I think Texas bullwhip is an understatement. It really lights you up, man. Let me see which other one we have that I could talk to you guys about. And the one I'm going to bring up is actually pretty common. So I'm going to bring it up because it's probably, if not the most popular, one of the most popular. And it's none other than hip dysplasia, right? And it's just a genetic malformation where the hip socket, right? Rather than going, the hip joint, right, does not fit the socket perfectly. There's actual spacing in there. And that spacing over time wears everything out. And then your dog is going to end up with arthritis, and you're going to start seeing some awkward gaits, like the dog sidewinding. Okay, I don't know if you guys know what sidewinding in a dog is, and that's when the butt is going that way and the front's coming this way. I mean, I'm going forward, but the butt's sidewinded, right? That could be because the dog does not want to use one of the two hips because it feels uncomfortable for it. And subtle signs for it, I can tell you, one of them, which is the most common, is subtle bunny hopping, right? Now, bunny hopping before you jump off the deep end on an 8-week-old, 10-week-old, 12-week-old puppy, it's pretty much normal, right? It's after that puppy is 6 months to 8 months old, in that window, you want to see the puppy go from the bunny hop to an improved gait when running. If it continues doing the bunny hop with the rear legs, where both rear legs are moving at the same time, it could be a sign that you might end up with a dog that may be having hip dysplasia. It's just a subtle sign, right? Actually, not so subtle, but it's there. If you have a dog that, and it usually starts to present itself, I want to say near the 1 year of age, is starting to have difficulty rising. Let me just tell you guys this. There's no such thing as a 1-year-old dog that doesn't have any type of issue having difficulty rising unless it injured itself. Okay. If you have a dog that doesn't, has not injured themselves, they're not limping or anything, but they have difficulty rising, that's not a good sign. Okay. Other subtle sign will be mild lameness after play. So you have a dog that'll go play, everything's fine while it's playing, but once it's done playing, then it shows you a little bit of weakness on one particular limb, maybe, not wanting to put too much weight on it. That's a sign. Infamous says, I've seen that with some, I guess, strays here. I always thought it was just they were the way the dog was. Raul teaching me more than my vet for a lot less money. That's true. So yeah, hip dysplasia. One other thing I want to tell you about hip dysplasia, guys, is puppies that are 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks old, they may pick up a limp. Okay. And within a week, it goes away. So, hey, we're good. No, you're not good. Okay. Puppies at that age should not be, first of all, in slip and slide surfaces. But second of all, if they picked up a limp during that age, what could have happened, and this is why hip dysplasia is one of those topics where the veterinary community is kind of split 70-30 as to whether it's genetic, which is what the books try to pump into them, right? Because that's how they want to manipulate it, or environmental. And what I mean by that is you could have a perfect puppy that doesn't have hip dysplasia at 8 weeks old, but you brought them home and you have wooden floors that are slippery. And he or she is running around, and in one of those steps that they took, the limb went out and it put too much pressure on that socket where the hip is at. And it made it go a little too far, or might have tweaked it up in there. And now there's space in that ball and socket where it should be nice and tight for it to move. Now there's a little bit of space, and now it's wiggling a little bit more. Well, over time, that wiggling inside will cause a problem. All right. So these are subtle signs that we all need to be on top of. Guys, listen, that's all I got for you tonight. I would have loved for you guys to have brought up yourselves other subtle signs that we could have discussed. But either way, I will be editing this video once we get off the live. A lot of the things that we spoke on, I'm going to be cutting out. This is one of the reasons why you want to be catching us live, because you're getting the full spectrum when we're live. When I edit it, all you're going to get is the highlights. Nadine says this can also be caused by having the pup jumping in and out of the country Cadillac. Yeah, I've told you guys the story many a times. I had a 10-month-old pup that had to be put down. And the guy that owned him thought that I had sold him a dog with hip dysplasia with temperament issues. And what it was is he had the dog jumping up and down from the back of his truck when he was 8 months old. He ended up causing hip dysplasia on the dog. And the reason the dog was snapping was mainly because it was in pain. Don't be that guy. That's the best that I can tell each and every one of you. Infamous, you got it. Great info. You got it. Sulema, no, I just came in minutes ago. That's fine, Sulema. You could catch us on the replay, guys. Every Friday, every Monday at 8 p. CST. It's been Raul from the Q, and I'll be catching you on the next one.
That's that guy. That's that guy. Yeah.
American bully, that's a dream. From XL booties to extreme. Pocket standing, not left behind. Booty breathing is a